Ever thought that stashing your gun safe was your ticket to smart investments? You might want to think twice. Some firearms seem like a steal on paper, but wind up being about as useful as a jammed stapler once reality sets in. Today, I'm breaking down 10 guns that nose-dived in value so fast, you'd have been better off stocking up on bulk case ammo. These are pistols and rifles that came with big promises, but once you walked out of the shop, they started losing cash like a leaky canteen. If you've ever eyed a deal that looked too good to be true, this list just might save you from wasting your hard-earned dollars. Number 10. Remington R51. Few handguns have fallen from grace as hard as the Remington R51. When it first hit the shelves, it had a price tag around $500. These days, you'd be lucky to unload one for $200. That's like striking a match to $300. So what went wrong? Well, straight out of the box, folks were getting jammed feed cycles and gouged brass seriously. It looked like the slide was mad at the ammo. The trigger? Sloppy and unpredictable. Pulling it felt like dry firing a broken office stapler. Even after a full-blown recall and rework, the bad reputation stuck like duct tape in summer. The locking mechanism was marketed as cutting edge, but it doesn't matter how clever the design is if the thing won't cycle correctly. These pistols are more conversation pieces now, but the kind of conversations that end with, "Yeah, don't buy one. Try trading one in and you'll get nothing but raised eyebrows." Losing 60% of your gun's value faster than it takes to clear a stovepipe isn't depreciation, it's a complete flop with a serial number. Number 9. Remington RP9. This was Remington's crack at the polymer-framed striker game. On launch, it was going for about $400. On the used market now, try around $150, and that's if you find someone willing to take the plunge. That's a $250 hit for the privilege of owning one. The trigger felt like dragging gravel through molasses. The magwell looked like it was dremeled out by a kid in shop class. And the slide sometimes forgot how to go fully into battery. Reset? Barely there. It felt like a vague suggestion, not a feature. Gun shops got so tired of people trying to trade them in, they started flat out refusing. When a dealer won't even give you store credit, you've officially got a dud. The frame felt bargain bin cheap. The finish rubbed off faster than a budget flashlight's paint, and the sights looked like they were glued on as an afterthought. When folks start calling a high point refined by comparison, you know something went seriously sideways. Number 8. Interordinance Inc. An AR-style carbine chambered in 9mm? Sounds great on paper. Brand new, these sold around $700. Used, you're looking at $400 tops. That's $300 down the drain, all for the joy of watching your bolt carrier crack under basic use. The idea of using Glock mags drew a lot of attention until shooters realized the magwell had trust issues with anything not factory perfect. The trigger felt like it belonged in a $50 airsoft gun, and the gas system was needlessly over-engineered for a platform that's supposed to be simple blowback. You're paying AR money for a gun that makes you miss your old carbine. Quality control was a roll of the dice. A few lucky folks got theirs tuned just right with aftermarket upgrades, but most bailed out and took the loss. Some pawn shops still accept them, but don't expect more than a handshake and a shrug in return. This is what happens when a smart idea crashes into bad execution. Number 7. Keltech Subub 2000 Generation 1. Folding pistol caliber carbines sound awesome, especially for compact storage. The first gen Keltech Subub 2000 had folks excited when it dropped at around $400. But these days, worth maybe $200, and that's being generous. That's half your money gone before you even get it sighted in. The first generation had a trigger that felt like rusty barn hardware, and the front sight would drift off zero under recoil like it had somewhere better to be. The cheek weld was more like cheek punishment, one range session, and your jaw would protest. Sure, it folded up small, but no one actually enjoyed shooting the thing. The charging handle felt like a coat hanger, and the bolt had a bad habit of getting stuck halfway back. Once the Gen 2 hit the scene and addressed most of these issues, the original model basically became the drawer junk of pistol caliber carbines. It's a great case study on how bad ergonomics and subpar execution can tank a platform's resale value overnight. Number 6. Beretta Nano. With a name like Nano, you'd expect something slick and futuristic. And when it debuted, it wore a price tag around $450. These days, expect to fetch around $200, if that. That's another $250 reality check. The trigger was stiff as concrete, and the slide required near crowbar levels of effort to rack. Feeding hollow points was a gamble. You might get lucky, or you might get a jam every other round. The grip actually felt pretty decent in hand, which just made its flaws that much more frustrating. Because what's the use of a comfortable gun if you can't trust it to go bang? Once Beretta rolled out the APX carry as its replacement, the Nano's value went into total freefall. Now it mostly collects dust in used cabinets across the country, and even budget buyers would rather spend a few extra bucks on something reliable. When a pistol becomes best known for its lack of reliability, it's game over. Number 5. Bushmaster XM15, post-ban production. Back during the panic buying craze, these rifles were practically flying off the shelves. You'd drop around $900 brand new, but in today's market, you're lucky to fetch $600 on resale. So that's a solid $300 gone before you even get through your first few magazines. These were hit or miss straight from the factory. Canted front sights, gritty mil-spec style triggers, and buffer tubes that felt like they were machined with a rock were all common complaints. To top it off, many models were clearly overgassed, which led to rough cycling. The finish had a chalky bargain bin look, and the charging handle felt like it was dragging sand. Even after dropping money into upgrades, most owners still couldn't recover the value. It ran okay at the bench, but for what you paid, okay doesn't cut it. When the AR platform became saturated with better built options, the XM15 lost all appeal. These rifles prove that just because something is everywhere doesn't mean it's worth owning. Number 4. Interordinance Incorporated 847. Somehow, Interordinance figured out how to make an AIK platform less reliable than a dollar store water pistol. New, they were going for about $800. Now, you might get $400, but only if someone doesn't know what they're looking at. That's a $400 lesson in poor craftsmanship. Tolerances were all over the place. Receivers warped, bolts cracked under routine firing, and the headspace varied so much it was borderline dangerous. One rifle might run fine, another would jam every third round. The furniture looked like it was installed by someone who had only seen AKs in movies, and the trigger group felt like it belonged in a toy. These rifles gave the AIK platform a bad name, which is no small feat considering its global reputation for reliability. Most buyers learn quickly and avoid these like the plague. Unless you're looking for a conversation piece titled Worst AK Ever Built, skip it entirely. Number 3. Sig Sour Mosquito. This little .22 long rifle pistol was supposed to be a fun, high-end plinker with SIG's name behind it. Out of the gate, it cost around $400, but nowadays it's worth maybe $150 if you're lucky. That's $250 gone for the privilege of malfunction after malfunction. The Mosquito was absurdly picky with ammo. Only the highest velocity rounds had a chance at cycling without constant stovepipes. The trigger was vague and squishy. The decocker felt like it was barely attached, and overall reliability was a joke. The polymer frame gave it a cheap feel, and the fit between the slide and frame varied wildly from gun to gun. Even the sights seemed thrown on at the last minute. Eventually, Sig dropped the Mosquito quietly, and buyers never forgot. These days, they serve more as jam-clearing trainers than actual range toys. Most folks who tried one moved on to something dependable and never looked back. Number 2. Taurus Spectrum. You could tell Taurus was aiming to do something different here. It launched at about $300, but on today's used market, it sits around $150, cutting your investment in half for a shooting experience you'll probably regret. The trigger felt like squeezing soggy cardboard, and the slide had a bad habit of not going fully into battery, never great for a carry gun. Even worse, the magazines didn't always lock in, which made reloading a frustrating gamble. Sure, it had a comfy grip and some flashy colors, but all that means nothing if the gun won't run right. The sights were minuscule, and the build quality felt rushed. At the end of the day, it's a pistol better suited for a display case than actual use. Most folks in the know steer clear and put their money into something that doesn't gamble with reliability. Number 1. Century Arms C38. On paper, a budget-friendly take on the classic Heckler & Koch battle rifle sounds like a great time. You'd spend around $700 new, but resale today hovers near $300, meaning you've lost $400 just for rolling the dice. Bolt gap issues were all over the place. Extraction reliability depended on what ammo you ran and maybe whether mercury was in retrograde. The trigger felt like it was salvaged from a lawnmower. The finish looked like it had been applied with a broom, and the sights were often misaligned right out of the box. Even the stock felt flimsy next to proper German-made furniture. For folks expecting HK-inspired performance, it was a rude awakening. Some owners have managed to get theirs working after lots of tinkering, but resale value was dead from day one. Most shops won't even negotiate when these come through the door, they just don't want the headache. There you have it, 10 firearms that turned good money into regrettable memories. Some had promise, others never should have made it past the prototype phase. Drop a comment below with the biggest letdown you've ever owned. And if you're into no-nonsense breakdowns like this one, tap that like button and hit subscribe. You've been watching Gun Fanatics. We'll catch you in the next video, hopefully with firearms you'll actually want to hang on to.